So, we're gonna look at why why is the character not moving? So we go back to scene. Show nav mesh. Nav mesh is there. So she should be moving, right? Oh, wait. She's she's not missing anything. I'm probably gonna stop streaming on Kick soon, by the way. Actually, wait, I think she moved. Because she should have been there, not there. Okay, so what are we looking at here? This is her. Obviously, I've done something wrong. Why is she so far underground? Like, I feel like this is supposed to be the ground. So weird. Anyway. Medium crowd test. I have a working version of this, and I've copied most of the code over. So I've definitely fucked something up. I just don't know what it is yet. Yeah, because here, this is my working version. Oh, right, this one. So it's the old system and it works, but I don't know why my new system isn't working. I might have an idea. AI pedestrian character base. It might need to be this. Let's let's take a look at this. Waypoint navigator. Let's effectively what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and move it into here. So first things first, we want to do this. Right. And then we're just gonna do effectively this. And the problem is that like I want this to be powered by the so this would be current dot get next POI. And then here, let's serialize this field for now so I can see it. See where they're heading, right? Maybe I've got it tuned too high. I guess is also a potential thing. Where I've overtuned the distance. So they're they stop too close effectively. Although they should just keep getting the next one. I'm going to move my truck. So it's not that. There's her next point of interest. And she's not walking to it. Wait, where is it? Wait, what? Is it? Our next point of interest here. Oh, she's moving. Which? Oh, wait, what? There is one that's not moving, and it's that one. Oh, no. All of them are moving. What's going on here? Wait. I found the problem. VAT mesh, which would be this one. Uh, does this not have any? How the fuck did I do this? All right, let's just hit play and we'll grab one. Take a look at her. There she is. Yeah, here, Waypoint Navigator script. Okay. Oh fuck, I forgot to jump to her. Oh, it's this one here, that's why. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay. Here's the ragdoll mesh. That mesh should be this one. I don't know if I think that's fine. Sorry. Ugh. This, and then we're gonna place that in there and then hit play, and we're gonna see if that works. It absolutely was that. I wish they rotated better, but I don't know that it's a big deal. I think I do need to probably like actually fix up the speed though, because I don't think this walking speed is right. It might be. It's not too bad. It could be better. So now if I go to here, we go and we remove this. Then we come back into here and we hit play. Do we get the thing that we want is going to be the question, right? I'm going to do this because I want to rename. Delete. We're going to make sure that that didn't break anything. I don't believe it should. We speed up. Oh, it did. Apparently that literally broke everything. Zero. Wait. Oh. Oh. Wait. That's why. Okay. It's because they're never actually calling the request this is never being called. Find usage. Oh, that's why. There we go. Current pedestrian dot set. We're gonna do set next POI, and then we're gonna come into here, and we're gonna do public. Yeah, that's the base. Public virtual void set next POI. And then we're going to take that and put that in there, and voila. Effectively, we want to remove tick from it so it can happen on its outside of stuff. Also, I think that we should probably do it on late update instead of on update. But I'm going to double check what the difference here is. execute called once per mono behaviors is enabled. The frequency of update calls vary with game frame rate. Those ideal for general game logic that needs to happen every frame, such as reading player input, handling non-physics based movement, update animations or UI elements that don't rely on physics. Execution called at a fixed rate independent of the game frame rate as defined in called multiple times per frame. It was designed for physics-related calculations, ensuring consistent physics simulations regardless of frame rate. Evolve time, use fixed delta time. Executes once per frame after all update functions have been called for all objects in the scene. For actions that need to occur after all other object movements. Yeah, this is probably like late update seems like a better for this. Late update. I also kind of want to do it as a job, but for now I'm going to leave it not as a job because it's easier. And while we're testing things, easy is good. Easy is your friend. What is this? Oh, reflection probe. Interesting. Do we even really have reflections? Yeah, I guess we do. We have some reflections. That reflection is not correct. Looking down or up? I feel like it's looking up. This isn't the right straight. Where's that orange sign? Yeah. I don't think it's that one. Wait, does this have a boundary box? Fuck that. I'm sure that there's a way to like turn on just being able to see like all of the mesh colliders in an area on the map in Unity, because I know that I can do that in Unreal. So I imagine that Unity probably has something like that as well, because it just seems important. This I don't think has a mesh collider on it, does it? No, it doesn't. This does though. This one's got a complex mesh collider, eh? Excuse me. Interesting. Why is it on its side? Wait, does this not actually have a mesh collider? Is that actually the problem? No, no, this is it. Maybe? Or this. I don't know. I'm gonna leave this one at what it is. There we go. Now this has a mesh collider. Do these have mesh colliders? Ugh. I think these are all the same. Yeah. There we go. There's no good reason why those have mesh colliders on them. Or this. Why does this have a mesh collider? These I kind of understand, so I might just leave it just so it's by default. You might be wondering why I'm caring and right this moment, and it's because if I don't do it now, I'm going to forget. And it's relatively important because we're going to have a lot going on per frame when it comes to collisions and stuff like that. So you want to try and perform like you want to try and make sure that you don't calculate collisions on things that do not require collisions. Wait, these. Oh no, there we go. For that very reason. Oh, interesting. It's an interesting way to deal with that. Hmm. Okay. So think think I got all or at least most of the ones that don't make sense to have collisions attached to them. So now we're just gonna grab the truck and move the truck down here. Just like this. Well, bam. We're gonna hit play. Oh, look at all my tiny little peoples. Okay, so they're walking. They're walking now, and so the next thing that we want to do is apparently crash. I think we're getting close to crash here. No? Okay. So how many people do we want to put on here? Let's put 500. Okay. Okay. I see what the problem is, and it's with the nav mesh. This isn't affecting the nav mesh. That's why. Wait, what's here? Okay, that should be better. I don't think they're going to be able to walk up there. Oh no, they might be able to. Okay, there we go. I think that this should fix some of the problem. Hmm. I don't even know how many people I have here. Okay, so we need to somehow prevent these choke points. But these choke points are only happening because we don't spawn them at random like points along in between these two sections, right? We spawn everybody at the exact same spot. So we need to fix that. And I think I put something in here for in the crowd test, the original crowd test. So they spawn along the thing. Ooh, excuse me. Initiate. That's what we want. Get a random get random points between the current waypoint. Get random. All right. There we go. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come into base here. And we're gonna do some quick updates here. Current waypoint. Next POI. I don't think I spelled previous correct. I did not. There we go. All right. So what we're gonna do is set next to do. To do. Sorry, current POI. No. Yeah, it'd be next POI. Yeah. And then update POI. We'll call this update POI. And it will be get next to do update POI. And then do current POI equals next POI. There we go. There. Oh right, we still need a set current set current POI. POI type base. Oops. Hmm. So here we would want to do that's my next POI, which is going to be important. So this would be current POI equals new current POI. Let's rename this to initiate POI. There. And then we would say next POI equals new new current POI dot get next POI. And then the previous POI doesn't matter because when we do the update, we get rid of it. And then here we just do initiate POI. It loves to complain. Did we refresh? Yeah, we did. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, what was I? Oh, right, I was gonna fix the spawning. And that required the 2 here. That means that we need to do this and then here. Okay, so first things first, we're going to take this here. And this would be an POI typeface. Spawn POI. next POI equals that's not what I was typing. And this would be next POI. Then get a random point between the two vectors, the 2 points, which is this here. There we go. What's this? Use var? Fuck you. I don't want to use var. I really don't like using in languages where you have to do typing like this. I really don't like using like the catch-alls where it's like I'm not gonna say what it is because it's like it defeats the purpose. It's like I'm either gonna do it or I'm not, kind of thing, right? That's almost worse. Oh, thanks. Well, we got our first message on Kick today, which means that it's a scam. There we go. Whatever this is, I like it. Oh, you want to see what it's gonna turn into? I'll show you what it's gonna turn into once I get the navigation fixed and everything. I have a working version. And in this test scene here. So you are Truck. So the name of this game is Isekai Crusader Truck-Kun's Realm Rescue. And you've been here before, so you already know this. Well, you should know this, but this is what it's going to turn into. Yeah. Wee. I love this. Meep, meep, coming through. I have a version of this as well somewhere, and I don't know. I don't remember which one it is that actually has the impact sounds and stuff like that. Is this not expensive at all when you have a bunch of active ragdolls? Uh yes, but we can clean up the ragdolls because they don't need to live forever. These are not ragdolls. These are super cheap. Look at my frame rate. You can see the frame rate right there. CPU just thinks they're a bunch of cylinder ragdolls. I think I've got 1,000 of them walking around right now. Actually, how many do I have walking around? It might be more than 1,000. It looks satisfying though. How will you justify the gameplay? Oh, yeah, no, I already worked that out. Don't you worry. Oh, here we go. This is my AI account right now. Uh yeah, think Crazy Taxi. Here, let's do 5,000. You'd be surprised at how far I can crank the AI before I start seeing CPU loss or frame rate loss. There we go. I got frame rate loss at 5,000. Wee! Feel the love. All those entities super far away are trying to animate like normal, right? There's no animations in this entire scene. There's not the so okay, wait. There's bones in the scene right now, right? One sec. There is not a singular skinned boned mesh animation happening in this entire scene. There is not a singular bone being animated in this entire scene. GPU magic. Yeah. So there's not one singular animate like traditional animation happening in this entire scene. This entire scene of 5,000 AIs does not have a single traditional animation. Like I can't control this. GPU is literally taking every vert in the 3D model. Yes. The GPU is literally adjusting the where every single vert on this model is to simulate a walking signal symbol. No, no. There's no weights. Okay, so what you do is you take a snapshot of every single vert. Okay, so I'll explain. So you take a snapshot of every single solitary vert of the character, every single frame and you bake it into an image texture. No, every frame. Just every frame. You just go every frame. Yeah, it's just an image. The animation is an image. And show you what it looks like. Give me a second here. So, okay, so check this out, right? So if we look at this character here and see how she walks there. So you see how when I move, she walks? This is her mesh. See how she just walks? It's not a particularly nice walk, but she walks. Okay, so if we go to her material, this is her material. And look at her material. Okay, then let's take a look at this. This is the walking animation for position. And this is the rotation. So these two combined here give you a walk cycle. This is the animation that you see. Well, no, it's like quite reasonable. All right. So if we zoom in really, really close, you can see that this image is made out of pixels. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but pixels have four values, but three important values that could be interpreted as 3D coordinates. So you can really see it more on this, right? So you can see how there's kind of like very similar slices here. So each slice is one frame. I don't think so. I don't think the alpha channel is being used. Not for mine, but actually it might be. It might be used for a bounding box. Because you need a bounding box, right? To tell it like where in 3D space. Because you only have 255 out of 255, 255, 255, right? Because that's the color caps. But the bounding box might actually not be done in here. I'm not sure because I didn't build this system. I'm utilizing Houdini's system. So the smart people over at Side Effects Labs built this. And it's fucking awesome. Oh, you don't get great precision. Like you don't get great precision. If I zoom in on her, you can tell that her like that it's off. There's something off about it. See, like it there's offness about this. she wobbles a little bit when she shakes and when she walks and stuff. Yeah. So like it works. It works really really well for this specific style of game because you never really look at the character, right? She on that UV clean. Yeah. Also, I had to bake her down to a singular texture, and I crushed the shit out of her textures. Like her actual textures are like really small. Like this is her entire thing. Her mouth actually opens so that I think that's her tongue. No, no, I didn't. I didn't texture paint it. I think she, if I'm not mistaken, she's made up of. So I can show you the original because I've got it in this project here. I think this is her school outfit. So this is her actual texture set. And these are very reasonably, like these actually look reasonable, right? So if like we go to the textures and we go to school, we can actually see the texture set, right? Like, uh, the original has a bunch of textures. Yeah, I baked everything into a single texture. So she's actually UV'd like a sane person and like laid out sane and everything like that. And what I did to because I wanted to crunch it down into a singular texture because there was no point in having her be like 14 textures, right? No, I just used Houdini. Like this entire process was entirely just done in Houdini. I made it so all I had to do was you take the character and the animation and you pipe them into into a function and it spits out the all of it and it crushes it down into a singular texture. It's just imagine if GeoNodes had like 14 or 20 years of development, and that's that's Houdini. It's GeoNodes with it like an extra like 20 years of development on it because I think side effects was like the early 90s. Yeah. So like GeoNodes are going to get to where Houdini currently is, and they're actually catching up much faster than you would think. But like the other issue is that Houdini isn't like resting, right? So like Blender can catch up to Maya. Blender can catch up to uh ZBrush, right? Those two applications, their days are effectively numbered, right? Because they do not do active development, right? In the same way that Blender does, right? Blender releases new features constantly. Whether or not those new features are really really useful to you specifically or not is kind of like an irrelevant point, right? Blender can never reach up to ZBrush. Blender will absolutely catch up to ZBrush. Also, hey Digi. I think that ZBrush will always be more performant, but that's only as long as like at some point ZBrush is going to fall behind feature wise. Like there's going to be a point where like GPUs are going to be powerful enough and everything like that, and it's yeah, it's hot take with pseudo. Hot takes with pseudo. Um, No, I'm being realistic, right? Maya is a failing application, right? Is it still an industry standard and is it still widespread enough that if learning it is still useful? Absolutely. Um, it is um is it eventually going to fall behind and Blender will take it over? Absolutely. Yeah, but the Blender getting to the point where it can handle 225 million polygons is a time thing, right? The time is going to be there. It's just a question of like when is the time going to be there, right? Whereas like ZBrush and Maya and like 3D Max and stuff like that, they're not pushing to innovate their software, right? So it's just like they're kind of stuck at a specific point in time, and as soon as Blender passes that point of time, adoption will eventually start to switch over to Blender, right? Yeah, but it's not a bullet. It's a very slow moving train. But like eventually I can if a Ferrari that can go 6,000 miles an hour or 600 miles an hour fucking whips down the highway and then stops and stands still and waits indefinitely, I can walk past that Ferrari eventually. The question is, how long will it take me to get there? It might take me 20 years, but I can still walk past that Ferrari. Doesn't matter how fast something can go, right? Or how far ahead something can get if it stops and stands still. And Maya, ZBrush, 3D Max, all of the software, right, is pretty much stuck at a specific time. And they've just effectively abandoned development on it. So no one can be mean to me. Yeah, but no, Digi's not wrong, right? In any sense of the imagination, right? Like Maya is still a better production software than Blender. 3D Max is still a better production software than Blender, right? ZBrush is still the best sculpting application on the market. Like there's a bunch of different tooling that's industry standard for a reason. It's because it is better, right? But if they continue to stand still and not move, eventually open source alternatives are going to pass them, right? And the open source alternatives being free is going to make it so they will see more rapid adoption once that pass happens, right? But again, it's just a matter of time. The timeline is the question that I don't have an answer to. I can tell you definitively that Maya will be deprecated and end of life, right? 3D Max will be deprecated and end of life, and Blender will take them over at some point. And unless Autodesk changes their philosophy and actually starts improving on the applications. Same with Maxon. If Maxon decides that they actually want to push ZBrush forward and um, improve the software, then yeah, they can very easily outpace Blender because Blender is very fragmented and the development cycle from it is largely based off of does anybody want to work on this feature, right? I'm from the future. I'm here to tell you that 3D Max actually, in fact, becomes the industry standard for the next 300 years. Like it's not impossible. Also, Digi, how are things going? It's been a while since I've heard from you. So these girls are still bumping into each other a bit too much. Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong on that one. I have found that like certain communities in the blender communities pretty big into this one. They're just like, why would I learn another piece of software? Blender does everything. And it's just like, well, because Blender is not the best at anything. It can do everything, but some of it it's just bad at doing. It's like Houdini. Houdini can do everything. It doesn't make it a good polymodeling application, despite the fact that I enjoy polymodeling in it. It doesn't make it good at it. Blender can do everything at a ninth grade level. I don't know. There are some things that Blender's really good at. I just don't know what they are. Like, I guess technically, if you try hard enough, you could. Technically, like all modeling is creating a CSV at the end of the day. So, but Substance is way faster and easier, and it looks better. You're not wrong. Marmoset's really nice too. I think Substance is already starting to get left in the dust. Like Marmoset's doing a really good job. And 3D, what is it? 3D Coat? 3D Coat, I think, is taking over Paint. I want to say it's 3D Coat. Yeah, but Marmoset now has can do all the same painting as Substance does. Yeah, I think Digi has done painting in it. I know that Nimlot. I think Nimlot prefers Marmoset over 3D Coat. Sorry, he prefers Marmoset over Substance Painter. I think so. I don't know because I don't really do that kind of texturing. I'm really bad at texturing, and it shows when I try and texture stuff. For me, I can't switch to Marmoset because like the documentation isn't as robust yet because it's still newer. But my understanding is their tooling is better, and I'm entirely willing to you know to to yield this one entirely over to somebody like Nimlot. He knows his shit, and if and I think he told um I think he was the one who said that Marmoset is just a better painting tool. So it's a good alternative, but it's not as good as Substance, in my opinion. Oh, okay. then I would yield to Digi on this one. Digi is far more knowledgeable when it comes to this. Marmoset is faster. Yeah, I suppose that would be fair because Marmoset is like it. Marmoset's processes are faster than Substance, like substantially faster for like baking and stuff like that. And I guess like when you're doing that kind of texturing, that those systems are going to get fairly heavily in play. So that also makes sense. I guess I don't really ever run into problems like that though. You can texture at 4K. Ah. That might be why Nimlot likes it. I think the one that I would switch to is I think it's Armor. I think if I was to switch over from Substance, it'd probably be to Armor. I think it's Armor. But I might be a little bit wrong on that one. Open source Substance. Material Maker is one of the other ones that I've looked at. Yeah, this one's cool too. This is like the open source version of Substance Designer. Hmm. No one in production uses XNormal anymore. That's yeah. I tried to use XNormal at one point, and I was just like, this feels like a tool that hasn't been updated in like for modern tooling. When I say modern tooling, I just mean like it. Yeah, it feels like a '90s program. Um, because it's like unintuitive to use and stuff like that, and it looks like it did things in a specific way to make it easier and faster for execution rather than um to make it easier to use. So it's like performance over usability. And at the end of the day, a tool like XNormals should not be sacrificing usability for performance because like there is no performance issues anymore. Avoided permanent hair loss for me. You should just stop using XNormals then. What exactly does XNormal do? Because I haven't been able to figure out what to use it for. Like transferring them? Oh. I think Blender can do that really well. Houdini does that. Huh. I've thought about maybe like looking into doing UV based programming at some point, just to see what that would be like, but I've never gotten around to it. Mm. Well, realistically, that's kind of the only way to do it. You take the two models, right? And then you you essentially cast rays down and at the verts, right? And then you just you build out the new one utilizing that kind of system. And it's the same way that that Houdini doesn't. I would imagine that Marmoset can do it too. Tools to do that. Just X normal. I figured out how to use. Yeah, I feel like Marmoset could do that. I feel like Substance should be able to do that as well. Although I guess maybe Substance doesn't allow you to texture both, right? Because you're just effectively baking, right? You're just also baking the hot like a texture over. Yeah. Houdini actually has really nice tooling for that. For the low price of for the low price one time price of of uh of this, you can you too can get that level of baking. Oh, sorry, that was the 1 year. The perpetual license is $2,000. But you'd probably want this one, which would be the like if you were buying it, you'd probably want this one. But if you think about it, yeah, almost 5K, but like it's literally a perpetual license. No, but you got to think about it. It is literally a perpetual license. And with the amount of and side effects isn't so unlike ZBrush, which was um unfortunate. Side effects is raking in the money, right? Like side effects does very, very well. So side effects isn't going to be selling. Like there's not a risk of side effects selling, right? To one of the big stupid companies. Like they actually make a shit ton of money. Right? Where like ZBrush the issue is that they didn't have a profitable model. Like their model wasn't profitable enough that somebody could justify indefinitely keeping it. Right? Because like the idea was the perpetual license was supposed to be a 1 year lock or something like that, and they just never enforced it. So people would buy it once, right, for a relative like an insanely cheap price and just keep it indefinitely. Houdini actually enforces their 1 year lock, right? Like you're buying a version of Houdini, right? So like if I buy this one right now, this here price is going to be the price for the current version of Houdini, right? And it's only for the current version of Houdini, right? Um so next year I won't get the update, but I will always be able to just install the current version of Houdini, right? The reason why I actually looked at this and I was like with my And I thought about it because long term, this is substantially cheaper, right? Because the indie license, right, is $300 a year, right? So if how many years if I don't need all the new updates, right? For Houdini, it just makes sense to buy the perpetual license. Sure, you're locked into it, but if you're a single person, the lock into a specific year doesn't really matter, right? So it's just like 5 grand effectively, right? Versus $300 a year, right? More upfront, but no reoccurring charge. Eventually it pays itself off and then you benefit from it every year. The reason why I still have never done it is because Houdini releases a lot of updates and they actually push their software forward by leaps and bounds every year. And it's just like, I really want the new updates. And updating a perpetual license is really expensive. Houdini is hard to pirate. I'm just going to say it. It's going to be really hard to pirate because like it's so deeply like connected to other things, and the power of Houdini is not in the software. Like not in the main software itself necessarily. It's in the engine and how it connects to other things. And then you have to like figure out how to like you have to pirate the engine for Unity or the engine for Unreal, the engine for Maya, the engine for 3D Max or whatever, right? And it becomes a bit of a pain. It becomes a bit of a pain to have to do that, and then you need the engine server running, and you'll need to make sure that that's being pirated and cracked. Then you'd also need to make sure that the main software is pirated and cracked, and you've got the right versions and stuff like that. And I don't know, it just sounds way too much work. I remember was one of the worst things. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Maya. I canceled my Maya subscription. I canceled my Maya subscription recently. I've decided that if I'm going to do that style of poly modeling, I'm going to switch over to Blender at this point. I can't justify the price. Maya is too expensive for what it is. And I'm in an ad break. I'm being trolled. Okay, let's get this working. Angular speed, acceleration. Minimum distance. I wanted to learn Maya for modeling. Seems really nice for retopo, but couldn't ever get really fast with it. Mostly just super nice for lighting, for its lighting engine. Mm. If you're looking for, um, you know what might be good for that. You might if you're just looking for retopo tools, Topo Gun. Topo Gun is amazing. Uh, Topo Gun is pretty easy to learn. Uh, you could ask if you give Digi a follow because he streams and he uses it, and so does Nimlot. Like a lot of the a lot actually, I don't think many of them do any stream anymore. But quite a bit of the compute the older team group that artists that I'm part of, they all use Topo Gun because of how easy it is. I just use Blender for Retopo. It's decent with some add-ons. I think f-stop or whatever under Retopo, definitely not better than this. Well, at the end of the day, better is kind of relative, right? As long as it can do a good job, right? The question isn't whether or not it is better it's it, as in speed. Maybe, but like you're going to be faster and more efficient in a software that you feel comfortable with, right? So unless there's a technical reason to use a different piece of software, like there's a technical reason to use ZBrush over Blender for sculpting. And that is if you need the incredibly high polys, Blender just falls apart, right? At a certain point where ZBrush doesn't. So switching over to ZBrush actually just solves a technical limitation, right? But there's no real technical limitation that I can think of that Topo Gun solves that you wouldn't be able to solve in, say, Blender. Except for I think Topo Gun actually handles really, really high dense meshes a lot better than Blender does. So unless you're working on really high poly models, which I imagine you're probably not, then there might not even be a point of buying Topo Gun, right? Although it is a perpetual license, so that one's always nice. So I do love how all the new companies are all perpetual licenses. There's one Rism's a great one. I love the way that Rism does theirs. Rism UV I think has by far my absolute favorite pricing model. So if we go to buy, I want your prices. Oh, virtual space here. Okay, so I don't think they've changed this. So maybe they've changed their model, and if they have, that's kind of really sad to see. No, I think they changed their plans. Oh, here we go. Indie plan. Yeah. Rent to own. I love this. Rent to own. So you pay for $15 a month, and after 12 months, you own that piece of software. So this just makes me happy. So effectively, like if you just rent to own every single year with them, right? You just perpetually have the most recent version. Like you own the most recent version constantly. This is an absolutely amazing deal, in my opinion. Like the idea of rent to own, where it's like a reasonable price, and by at the end of 1 year of consecutive payments, you just own that year's piece of software. That is absolutely amazing. This is the type of stuff that I like to see when it comes to payments. This is the one that I've bought though, because it's cheaper than this. This is 10 months, so the of this. So I was always buying it as the lump sum. Anyways, let's get back to where we were at here. We need to add a little bit of deviation, um, because right now they're all spawning in a straight line. I wanna offset that by a random digit left or right. And then that will spread them out a bit more, so they won't be bumping into each other as much. Either that, or I could. Yeah, no. Okay, so the easiest way to do this be to okay, so that gets that, and then all we want to do is we want to take the code here. I would like to add a random deviation to the side within a set range to this. Uh, if you're in a 2D plane, XYZ. Oh, give me a moment. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Why random offset? Yeah, but I don't know necessarily where I don't know if the offset. Full example. Okay. Direction of the line. Get the perpendicular direction. Use the global up. Oh yeah, there we go. Perfect. Well, you gotta use ChatGPT in a very specific way, and you gotta like essentially ask it questions and have it not actually write most of the code for you. Because if you have it write most of the code for you, one of two things is going to happen: one, you're not going to learn anything, and two, it's going to introduce a lot of problems. And because you don't know anything about it, then it's going to introduce errors that are very difficult to fix. So there's this whole thing about like if AI is supposed to take over, why do I need to hire a developer to fix its code? There was like this there was this like I saw this um this thing on on Twitter, and I was just like, oh yeah, yeah. Um, they were talking about somebody was complaining. They're like, well, I've got the AI, and the AI can write the code, but in order to actually finish the code and fix the problems, I still need a developer. So why don't I just hire a developer at this point? Like if I've got to hire a developer anyways to fix all the problems with Jibita, why don't I just have a developer? Okay, so this gives me this, and then this is the point. This is the spawn point along the line, and then what we want is we want to point online, right? And then we take this spawn point. We're going to create a spawn point here. Vector3 spawn point equals point online. Just bear with me here. Then we need to get the direction of the line. To do vector3 line direction equals b minus a dot normalized. And then this would be spawn poi dot transform dot position. Next poi, and this would be spawn poi dot transform dot position. Then we take that and we do the cross product, which will give us we'll shift it from the current direction and we'll shift it to the side. Vector3 side direction equals vector3 dot cross line dir and vector3 dot up dot normal. Then we can give our offset for deviation, and we can do float deviation equals random dot range. And I'm just gonna add this here, and we'll do this in a we're gonna do this as a value as well. So negative max offset and max offset. I believe this is exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. No, they're both inclusive. Sweet. Okay. Then we can take the spawn point plus side dir times deviation. Ah, poopy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this max offset. We're going to move it up here. Max spawn offset. Now, when I click on this, we'll have a max spawn offset once it finishes loading. Max spawn offset. Now we just have to wait the year for Unity to finish refreshing because Unity takes forever. And then when we hit play, we should have a bunch of them next to each other. It's like a little bit better. I think we need a little bit more of the max offset here. Wait, does she not have the... Wait. What's going on here? I want one of the moving ones. There we go. There's something actually wrong with her. Let's see what happens if we move her. Yeah, some of these just don't actually have, like, where is the Huh. Yeah, at least we found the problem. Her nav AI is the problem. What's up, Mecca? Which point of interest is this? 2. She should be going to 2. This one should be going to 2, right? Yeah, and she's coming from 3, which I imagine is this one. Yeah, that's 3. That's 2. So there's something wrong with her. Something wrong with her nav mesh controller. Her nav mesh agent isn't working. So like if we take a look at this one here, you can see that she has the like, see that little arrow? The kind of like light blue one at the top there, and the red one. That's her nav mesh thing. The ones that are walking in place, they don't have that arrow. So something didn't get set. Yeah, okay. And I think I figured it out. Fish. Now I need to figure out a way of getting them to stop bunching the way they are. Because the bunching becomes a problem. Because like how much they're bunched here is a problem. It also means that I need to make sure that the I always thought Japanese school uniforms were so cool. Like, I suppose. I think the oh, I see the problem. Oh, that's part of the problem right there. Look at that. Do you see it? I see it. You see them all black suit ones, like you seen the oh for dudes. I need another point of interest connection. Did I miss any of them? Uh, just wear a suit. That's better. Look how packed that feels. Uh, what? No? Do, do. Add a point. Do. Did it did it work? Yeah, it did. Okay. Not a chance. I appreciate it, Lumjacker. There we go. I'm not bad. I got this working. Seeing me after 5 years. Has it really been 5 years? I feel like you changed your name. Holy shit, it really is. It's really been 5 years. Where is it? No, Omni Man can never be here. Never Omni Man. This actually feels nice. Like look at this. Minus this clusterfuck right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another point of interest for here because I want to break up this here. This one's a bit too much. Add interest. Come over here. We just want to break some of this up a little tiny bit. Actually, no, we don't want that one at all. I'm just gonna remove it. There we go. I need a way of breaking this up because there's too many things leading to it. And we need that not to be the case. I'm just going to move this one here over a bit. Like so. We can move this one back a bit, I think. Yeah. And then maybe also if we get rid of this. There we go. That's one less, right? Because there's too many people in this area specifically. We go like this and this. Add a point of connection there. And this and add a point of connection there. And this and add a point of connection. There we go. I think that should solve some of the problem. It's younger with age. What the fuck? I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, why do I only have one? That was weird. One pedestrian. Not valid. That's a lot of not valids. So wait, what even is the problem here? Not valid. AI manager, not valid. Oh, it's straight up not spawning pedestrians. I can't do AI programming. It steals the joy of programming from me. I added I added these, and now all of a sudden my connections don't work correctly. Or sorry, now it's not spawning correctly. That's so weird. Yeah, pretty much. For me, programming is about the process. The the end product is a side effect. Why is it not spawning? Um, this is the problem here, right? If not pedestrian, uh, if Unity editor debug.log couldn't spawn pedestrian. Ooh, I should put a continue there. Oh wait, no. We still want it. I feel like at this point, like it just needs we just need to reattempt to spawn them. I need to get rid of that that debug first. Is way more capable now, but if you just code for fun, it doesn't make sense to use AI. But if you do it for serious business projects, then AI is the way to go. I don't know. That's not entirely true. There's a fine line between like what you can do with AI versus like for speeding up production and like what will actually speed up production. So it's a very fine line, right? What? Wait. Where's my? There's an error. Where's my error? Wait. Yeah, no, that should work because uh, it's not about the client. Yeah, so like it's not necessarily about the client. It's that like 75. Sorry, give me a second here. So it's this? One of these has a bad connection. Actually, two of them have bad connections because I didn't remove it correctly, maybe? This one's bad. How does this have none? This is 14. Is 14 even 14's not even on this list. That's why. Client doesn't care. So it's not it's not about the client, it's about the so you can only get so far with AI before AI can't handle the problem set anymore. And the deeper you dive into the problem set, right, to like fully properly solve a problem, right? The worse AI gets at it, right? In isolation, AI is able to code up like very specific, very well defined problem sets super fast. I'll give you that. But like the ability to stitch together disjointed problem sets, right? Like a bunch of disjointed problem sets and keep your code clean enough that it's maintainable um and understandable gets a bit rough with AI so far in my experience. I'm not saying that it can't be done, it's just more like I haven't really seen it. So there's a point where AI becomes a hindrance to you moving fast, right? And I find that now this just might be me being bad at uh prompt engineer. What is it? They call it prompt engineering or whatever. And I find that that happens way too fast, right? Like where it's like, oh, I need to fix this one thing, and then it's like, oh, let me just break everything else for you, and it's just like, I once gave AI a task of like fixing a problem, but they weren't allowed to change anything in a specific piece of code. And then so all of its response were trying to solve the problem by changing a different piece of code. And it's just like, but the other piece of code works the way it's intended to. Can you please stop trying to change it? I want this piece of code to do this exact thing, and it's not working correctly. And I'd like your assistance in fixing it. And it's just like, I don't understand what you're saying. Oh yeah, like I use it. It's just like I try not to let it write much code at all because I find that like the more AI code that you introduce to a project, the less that I find that people understand the project that they're working on. And it makes it more challenging to fix in the long run. So I just largely stay away from AI code for the most part at this point. Can AI handle linear algebra now? I don't know. I think I think it understands the formula. It just can't do the calculation. Programming wise, it can do math formulas. It doesn't understand what's going on, but it can do math formulas. Like it wouldn't be able to actually do the calculation itself. Yeah, but like also some of that comes with like time, right? Time and experience. You can just ask the AI to refine it. That's fair, you know? Entirely fair. Fair and valid. I straight up just don't I don't know enough about that world that I can comment with like certainty on anything because I'm going to be honest, I largely just I don't enjoy working with AIs. Like to, for actually writing code, I don't really enjoy working with the AIs. I don't think that they do a particularly high quality job at it. That and mostly it comes down to the fact that I just really want to write the code. AI steals the fun of programming from me, and I don't like that. There's that, and I find that I'm substantially more. I'm substantially faster with less AI. The amount there's like this is the amount of AI that I can use before it starts slowing me down. I do love it for boilerplate stuff. I throw so much boilerplate at it, and it does such a great job at boilerplate code. Like I'll write my migrations in Ecto, and then I'll throw the migration into ChatGPT and ask it to spit out a schema for me with typing and stuff like that, and it does that, and then you just copy and paste it over, and it's perfect. It's ECTO. Hmm? Hollow Knight? Oh yeah, I installed it recently. I haven't played it. I have 0 hours into it. So Ecto is the is the like go to Elixir Postgres or SQL um ORM, and I really like it. So like here to do, let's see if we can find an example of a migration. uh I'm gonna find one. Mm, Here we go. No, that's the schema. That's a test. Here we go. So here's a migration, right? So you've got your change, right? And you can do an up or a down as well. So change handles the up and down concurrently together in one piece. So if you're creating a table, the opposite of it's going to be dropping the table. So change can cover that. And if you're adding or removing a field, the opposite of that is obviously the add or remove. So change is good at handling that. So like there's quite a bit that you can throw into a change. But for anything that wouldn't work in a change, you have to manually write an up and a down. But so like this creates a table with the field city, temp low, temp high, and precipitation. And then this is a string, an integer, and a float. And the default, the size of this string is going to be set to a max length of 40. So you take this, right? And then we go to ChatGPT. That's not ChatGPT. This is ChatGPT. And then a new chat prompt, right? And you're like, hey, could you give me a schema for this migration? And include the typing. Now, when you have two streams open, if one of them is playing an ad, it will pause watching the ad so you can wait it out. Now, when you have two streams open, if one is playing an ad, it will pause watching the ad so you can wait it. Wait, I'm confused. What do you mean? But anyways, this is kind of like this is what mainly what I end up using it for. Template code. Narwhals, all the narwhals. All right, let's take another look at this. This still has a bunch of a little bit, but it works itself out with time. Like a sea unicorn. I have one stream open and another with Borderlands 4 to see the gameplay, and an ad is playing. And an ad is playing. If I select your stream, the ad on the other pauses until I switch back, so I can't wait out the clock. That is fucking stupid. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab some drink and use the facilities. So I am going to do this, but I'm also just going to run 3 minutes ads because I'll probably be about 3 minutes. I had to um I had to uh start the rice and do some dishes. I have to figure out a way to fix this. Hmm. I think this means that I need a special like I think I need a flag for how busy a intersection is. Like one specific point. Also, I think I have an idea about this. Wait, what? This isn't working. Oh no, now it is. Remove POI. Remove connection. I think I added instead of removed. Yeah. So I had to do dishes, wash the rice, put the rice on. No. No, God no. Okay, so I think this actually feels busy. It really does. Oh, yay. This is a problem area right here still though. And I think I have a solution for that. W for washing the rice. What? Do you not wash your rice? You should always wash the rice. Washing the rice is good. Not washing the rice is bad. I can't say that I've ever ran into that problem, but I'm sure it exists. Who taught me how to wash rice? My girlfriend. My dad taught me how to cook rice. My dad or my mom, one of them. I don't know if my dad. My dad's actually really good at making rice, though. My dad can make a good pot of rice on his grill, on his barbecue. His barbecue. Yeah. My dad has a barbecue that has like a no, like a pot of rice. He made a pot of rice. We used the barbecue to cook a bunch of meals while I was up in my dad's place, and he cooked a pot of rice on his barbecue. He used his barbecue to cook the rice, and it was a pot of white rice. That's all it was. No, not fried rice. Yeah, my dad makes rice but does not own a rice cooker. To be fair, I didn't own a rice cooker for many years. I had a half Japanese girlfriend, and I had to teach her how to make rice on the stove. No, I'm not using dots anymore. This system's actually more performance than the dot system. What am I using instead? Proper vertex animations. Goddamn vertex animations are performant. I see I see a problem that I can solve. Perfect. Look at that. Well, the only reason why, to be fair to dots, the only reason why it wasn't as performant as doing it in the way that I'm doing now is because like I wasn't doing proper vertex animations. Proper vertex animations would speed up, like with dots, would speed this up substantially. But then there's a lot of gotchas with dots that makes it more challenging to deal with. Like dots doesn't handle very large worlds very well, and other such stuff. You need like chunking, and you need a bunch of these systems and stuff like that, and you have to like build everything from scratch. And I'm just like, what's the point of using Unity if I have to build chunking from scratch, and all of the interaction, like literally everything from scratch anyways. Might as well just use something else. Okie dokie. We have the Shibuya crossing section now working. No, you're absolutely right. For a lot of things, um, with Unity, you have to build everything up to a point. Like you have to build up Unity to meet where Unreal starts. But when you need to tear down something in Unreal, you really have to tear things down, and it's just like the overhead of tearing down in Unreal sometimes is greater than the overhead of building up in Unity. You're absolutely right. Yeah, yeah, I found a solution, and it seems to be working. Hmm? What's up? So have you thought about Hot going to chunk this stuff? How you're going to chunk this stuff? No, because I don't have to. As far as I know, Unity chunks for you, unless you're in dots. Then Unity does not chunk for you. Wow. I might be wrong then. I thought that it did. It's a problem I will get around to then. I pass? What? I'll solve the problem when if it comes up, yeah. Get to that speed bump when you hit it. Yeah, pretty much. Well, I'll get to that speed bump if I hit it. Cuz like so far I've not really needed to do anything special to get performance out of um uh the map as is, right? That doesn't mean that I won't need to do something in the near future, right? I just don't know what it is yet. And the answer very well could be that I don't need to do anything at all. There's so much stuff on these roofs. Why are these not default turned off? Can I view can I view things that are like by default, just view everything that's still a collision match? Mhm. All right, there we go. I think I did a fairly decent. God damn it! I think I did a fairly decent job at getting most of this. God damn it! I spoke so soon. Hmm. Uh, no, no. I wish. I'm not though. Wait, what? You? All right, let's see what our performance is like. I don't imagine this is going to be a massive performance gain. I think that it's capped at 60. No, just uh capture card. Yes. I'm limited to 60 FPS. My monitor is capable of 244, I think, but I'm limited to 60. If I move this over to my other monitor, I think I get higher than 60. $4K. You need 8K. You need 8K to do anything higher. Like you need an 8K card if you want to do higher than 4K 4K 60. Because for a 4K capture card is only going to go to 4K 60. Capture card. My graphics card is capable of doing it. My capture card is not capable. I have 2 cards. I have this one. But this caps out at these. This is this at 60 FPS. Or this might actually be this at 30 FPS. But it's a minimum of 1080 at like it does standard resolution, high definition at 60 FPS for 4 HDMI. And then I have this one. But this is 4K 60, right? If it doesn't list a refresh rate, it's always 60. Yeah. So these are my 2 cards. I have both of these in one computer though. What? I don't think I understand that. Oh, appreciate. Sorry. Yeah. It's Magewell makes really good hardware. The problem is that it is very pricey for what it is. It's worth it because they have the most stable, long-lasting I guess maybe I do say it a bit different. Anyway, so Magewell makes really stable, really high-end, really nice capture card equipment, but it's expensive. Um, Elgato, right? Elgato makes good commodity stuff, and this is what most streamers use. And this stuff, there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but you end up in those situations like where somebody's got an older Elgato card and it like stops receiving signal and they have to kick it and stuff like that. That stuff annoys the fuck out of me, like to no end. And that doesn't happen with Magewell stuff. Magewell stuff doesn't lock up like that ever. But Magewell also charges like double the price, right? Magewell, like if we were to look at like let's look at their non-duo one. Let's look at their 4K, right? Let's look at one of their USB captures, right? All right. So this is a capture card that captures one signal, right? One input signal. So it's only one HDMI. $635, right? This is the same thing, right? This is so yeah, so this here is effectively the exact same thing as this one, right? These are equivalent products, right? So like just the sheer craziness of wait, what is that? Oh, these are 4K 30s. Interesting. Yeah. So the three big brands are Elgato, Blackmagic, and Magewell, right? And then if we do this and we just sort as low high, Elgato's always going to be at the bottom, right? This is actually not bad. This is I think this is only one though. Anyways, but yeah, like Elgato and Elgato is going to be the cheapest. Black Magic is kind of the in between, and then Magewell is always going to be like, look, Magewell starting prices. Magewell is always unbelievably expensive for what it is, right? Like here, this is a 1080p, a full high definition, not 8K, not 4K, not 2.5K or 2K. This is literally just 1080p 60 USB. That's all that is. Yeah. So like Magewell is so much more expensive. But the issue, so the Black Magic cards are really are well known for when they get really hot, they start skipping frames or dropping frames or something like that, and stuttering and or becoming out of sync. Magewell doesn't have that problem. Elgato is famous for just losing connection when it gets old, when it starts to overheat and stuff like that. So Elgato equipment locks up periodically, especially on the older stuff. It locks up more often, and the older it gets, the more likely it is to start locking up. Blackmagic has syncing problems, and for really long video, like if you're streaming for 8 hours or 10 hours, right? It's possible that your audio and video will become out of sync and stuff like that, or it will have stutters or dropped frames for no real reason, right? Magewell doesn't suffer from either of those problems. They're just rock solid the entire time that you use them. CC? Who's CC? I think I might know who it is. I just don't remember what CC stands for. Oh, content creators. Not yeah. Yeah, yeah, like I've watched so many content creators where they're just like they're like can't like Gaz minis, right? When his camera disappears, that's Elgato like shitting the bed. And like if he spent more, like if he would have to replace that cam link in order for to fix that problem so it didn't happen. but he would probably replace it with another Elgato one, and it would fix it. But eventually, that would start coming back again. Where if he fixed it by replacing it with a Magewell product, he would never have that problem again. Right? Like Magewell just works. And the reason why you're paying so much is because it just works. Right? Like that's what you're paying for. Right? Elgato, you're paying the low price, but you're getting a worse product. And I put that in quotes because Elgato doesn't make shitty products. Their products are good. They are very good products, right? So it feels like even the Black Magic stuff is a very good product, right? All three of these are very good products, right? But like when you get to the higher echelons of like, what are you paying the extra like $200 for? You're paying the extra $200 to never have a problem. Just so I can stream my console to my PC and play it on my monitor. I suppose that's one thing, right? Yeah, but yeah, like it all just comes down to like when you start getting into the higher echelons, it's like subtle differences. And so far to date, the one thing that I can say about Magewell is Magewell just works. You do not have problems with Magewell hardware. Like, sure, with how much they've sold, you can find problems. But for the most part, it's just like you don't really once if it's installed and it's working, it's probably just going to continue working. Elgato will eventually start freezing and locking up and stuff like that. And Blackmagic has drifting problems and some other stuff. There was a pretty large YouTuber at one point. YouTuber. There was a YouTuber. This guy. Eli the computer guy. I really don't care about. Did he get into politics? Whatever. I think it was this guy. Yeah, it was him. So he had a problem specifically with this.
Information for the class that you are about before I purchased the Magewell is because this does 4K 60 frames per second and only cost about $550. The Magewell, so this particular card, again quad HDMI, only goes up to 1080p 60 frames per second. It costs $900. So basically, this was less than 2/3 or whatever the cost of this. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I don't need a lot of fancy features. I don't need a lot of fancy functionality. So if Blackmagic works, I'll just go with that. I've used Blackmagic in the past. I used to use their ATEM television studio for years. Again, to be clear, that was a good product for the time. I've used their other video encoding devices as time's gone by, and it's all been it's quirky. It's quirky for its time period, but it hasn't been too bad. My experience with this though, with the deck link, left a bit to be desired. So the cool thing about this is this actually does take 4K. So I couldn't actually test this at 4K 60 frames per second, but I could test it at 4K 30 frames per second. And one of the things I will say is this does do 4K. So you can have four 4K inputs at least 30 frames per second. And to be clear, the 4K images look beautiful. I was so excited. You go to like an hour and a half mark, you go to like a 2-hour mark, and it's off sync again. It's off kilter. And I went through and I just basically when I go on the Daily Blog, looking like testing products, BSing around, stupid stuff, right? And I'll do it for hours and hours and hours. So I might do a 2-hour video over there on the Daily Blog. And one of the things I found is when I started doing the live streams on the Daily Blog with this, audio and video would be in sync, it would be in sync, it would be in sync. But then you go to like the hour and a half mark, you go to like the 2-hour mark, and it's off sync again. It's off kilter. And I went through and I adjusted everything, and basically it was just being a complete pain in the butt. So I was getting frustrated. This very, very expensive Mac Pro here. This isn't doing what it's supposed to. So as a real IT professional, one of the questions I had to ask is this a Mac Pro problem? Is this a Wirecast problem? Or is this a device problem? So again, I've used Magewell for the last couple of years. I've used Magewell encoding devices. So I was like, you know what? I'll spend that $900 on the Magewell PCIe card and see what happens, right? So if I install the Magewell card and Magewell's causing the same problems, then it's a Mac or it's a Wirecast or something else. If it works, then we're fine. It works. It works. Hey, look. This is coming to you in Magewell. Anyways, so the thing was, so I plugged in the Magewell, and I was very excited. So I was very excited. So I plugged in the Magewell, and audio's doing good, video's doing good, so freaking excited. then I leave for a couple hours. And see, my thought was, well, this is pretty inexpensive. So if the audio and video goes out of sync with this does have very good image quality. So what I could do is I could keep this as an additional card in my system. So I got a lot of PCIe slots. And so basically I could use the Magewell card for whenever I'm talking to the camera. So I have this shot when I'm talking to the camera. I have this shot when I'm talking to the camera. I have other shots when I'm talking to the camera. So I was thinking is I can use Magewell for those face shots. And then maybe just use the deck link since it is a lot less expensive and the image quality is very good. Maybe I could use that for the computer shot, right? So if I have multiple computers connected to the system, I can use that for the computers. That's my thought. So left this in the Mac Pro, expecting to keep it. Had this in, I was very excited. Came back after like 2 hours, went out to have lunch and all that. Came back very happy, very excited, and my Mac Pro rebooted. Auto rebooted. Like what? Kernel panic. There was a kernel panic. So I was, oh. So I go through, do some modifications. Oh, you know, it always works. It just works. Yeah. Anyway, so I go through, do some modifications, updates and drivers, that kind of thing. Leave, come back after about 2 hours, reboot itself. Kernel panic.
But yeah. So his, like the everything's got its quirks. Magewell just seems to work. So. Anyways, sorry. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the launching now. Yeah. So the next one that I want to do is I want to be able to launch them. And I've got some code for that. Impact system. Here's my impact system, but that's not really what we want, right? It's the waypoint navigator. On trigger enter. Ugh. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna. It's about lunchtime. I'm gonna take a minimum of like a lunch break. I think. But I may or may not be back today. I've got some emails I've got to respond to and stuff like that and whatnot. But I will definitely be back tomorrow morning at the very least. Good game. Yeah. All right. We'll pick this back up probably. Yeah. I think I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna probably keep working on my free time, but I think I'm gonna call it a day for streaming today. Anyways, thank you to everybody who joined, and I will catch you all later. All right, ta-ta for now.